Dive with Deja. We are here with Eli Lilly and Dr. Claire Lee. I'm so excited for this conversation and what we are doing in this moment, okay? Because she is here to demystify and to help us understand a little bit more about weight loss drugs and specifically Zepbound and how it works and what it does and how we use it and how we can implement it in our lives and how it processes in our bodies and how we can use it. So, without further ado, Dr. Claire Lee, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Deja. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
Yeah, I'm really excited for you to be here. So, what I want to speak about today is weight loss and about how Zepbound specifically plays a role in weight loss and how it contributes to weight loss. Can you explain what in the world is Zepbound?
Yeah, absolutely. So Zepbound is the first and only FDA-approved medicine that helps you to reduce the body weight by reducing your appetite. And it works by activating two hormones in the gut called GIP and GLP-1. And it should be used in combination with healthy lifestyle like diet and exercise.
Okay.
And obviously talk to your physician, talk to your provider to see if it's the right tool for you.
Now, there are some people who are like, well, if I'm using the shot, why do I have to diet and exercise? Can you speak to that in some regard?
Absolutely. So that's, I hear that a lot from my own patients. I hear that from my colleagues and sort of patients and family members as well. And it gets down to the bias that underlies the disease of obesity. For so long, we thought obesity was a personal choice, that it is due to lack of one's willpower, right? That if you just done the right diet and exercise, that it would go away. And what we hear is the exact contrast, right? Many people have tried diet and exercise on their own many, many times. And maybe they're successful in some ways, but often what I hear is that it's extremely difficult to keep off the lost weight. And that's because obesity, turns out, it's a chronic disease that is due to multiple factors. And that requires a comprehensive longitudinal management in order to keep the weight off and also, sustain that over a long period of time. Just like high blood pressure or elevated cholesterol levels, you wouldn't tell that person, hey, cut down your sodium intake or cut down your saturated fat intake, right? You combine a healthy diet with pharmacotherapy oftentimes, right? It requires comprehensive management, in other words, right, for chronic diseases, just like that. So obesity, turns out, it's a chronic disease requiring long-term comprehensive care.
It's like I hear you classifying it as a chronic disease. And as somebody who has struggled with obesity, with overweight over the years and years and years and years of my life, it's like I hear it, but there's a part of me, there's like this voice in my head that is still telling me it's just because I don't work hard enough. There's this voice in my head saying that it's just because, if I were to eat healthy or if I were to work out more or if I were to get 10,000 steps. But there is a challenge because it's like, it's like almost kind of like sometimes it feels like how much are you supposed to do? And so what do you feel like this drug means for people who are struggling with weight loss?
Right. And again, thank you so much for sharing that insight because it is very common. And that is the deep-seated stigma and bias, again, that a lot of people living with obesity struggle with. They think it's their fault. They think they're not worth raising their hands and asking for help, right? So it gets in the way of people living with obesity seeking the help that they deserve. And part of that is it goes back to the misunderstanding of what causes obesity, right? Obesity is caused by multiple factors: genetics, environmental, behavioral, many other things. Imagine if you've eaten a full meal and your brain does not register that you had a full meal, and instead of feeling satiated and full, it says, I'm still hungry. right? So that's just one example of what a broken biology, or when there is miscommunication in the body, and that leads to, let's say, overeating, right? And you keep repeating that, right? And how that could lead to the disease, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's simplifying it too much to say it is all about my personal choice. It's all about what I'm doing. Instead, what we're learning through science is that there are multiple things at play. And when you are able to successfully manage a disease is when you recognize it as a disease and treat it like a disease, instead of continuing to going back to that bias that this is all about your own fault.
Yeah. How do you treat it like a disease? How does someone do that? Is that about taking the medication?
It could be part of the efforts. So I went into obesity when I was an endocrinologist, and I think, Deja, you asked me earlier about what an endocrinologist is. I'm going to just say a few things there. We specialize in hormone-related diseases like diabetes, thyroid, and other things. Hormones are like communicators. It tells the body from one part of the body to the other what's going on. And if that communication is broken, you can have a disease, right? So coming back to obesity, I started my care when we didn't have all the tools that we have today. And, what was really astounding for me was when I saw patients with, severe obesity undergoing surgery, right? And they are having, they lost massive amount of weight off of, after the bariatric surgery. And what I saw with that is there are dramatic sort of improvements in many facets of their health, right? So that to me was a very personal sort of learning that I've gained in my career, showing the importance of obesity as a disease. And when you treat it with such a strong tool like surgery, you could have, impacts, in their health.
Yeah.
So that became an inspiration for me to sort of go on in my career to focus on how best I can help as a clinician and physician scientist. And going back to your question, it requires multiple tools. And that what kind of tools you may need for your comprehensive and individualized care has to take place between your provider and yourself, right? So I cannot really say what that may look like, but what I can tell you is that there are multiple tools out there.
Yeah.
That this shouldn't be a disease where the default is it's your fault, therefore it's it's your choice on diet and exercise, and that's it. Rather, diet and exercise is the foundation. It is what's going to keep you successful long term. However, many times that may not be adequate by itself. And this is where additional tools like pharmacotherapy, like Zepbound, will come in to thinking about what are the pros, what are the cons, because every medicines may have side effects, right, as well. So you got to sort of weigh those things and figure out what is the best tool for you.
Okay. Now, you brought up side effects. So what are some of the side effects of Zepbound?
The most common side effects we talk about are gastrointestinal, like nausea, cramps, or diarrhea. Especially when you begin the medicine or increase the dose, some people may experience it, some may not.
Yeah.
But these are things that you can talk to your provider about how to sort of overcome those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've even said this yet, but I am on the medication, Zepbound. And, I will say that I had my fair share of time in the bathroom when I first started on it, especially because, and my doctor told me this, I really like spicy foods. So I like things that are like
me
hot,
too.
and apparently there's some kind of active ingredient within spicy food that doesn't always operate well with a medication like Zepbound. So are there any kind of foods or anything in particular that maybe you should stay away from, or maybe just say cut back on, if you will? Because in my mind, spicy food isn't exactly unhealthy. It just can be a bit of apparently a trigger in some cases.
No, Deja, you're exactly right. That's what I tell my patients. Try to stay on a bland food, nothing too spicy or stimulating. And you might want to proactively reduce the portion a little bit too, because when you start the medicine, you may feel less hunger. And so if you try to stick to your usual portion, you may actually feel like, cramps, it might be just a bit much for you. So, those are, again, things that, again, I can't really say at an individual level, but there are some sort of, sage advice along those lines, like keeping things bland and proactively reducing the portion a little bit to sort of, reduce your chances of having those gastrointestinal side effects. But obviously, talk to your physician, talk to your provider to figure out your best solutions.
Keep things bland. I can't do that.
So especially when you are starting or increasing the dose. So it may not be the truth for the rest of your life or anything like that. But certainly during dose initiation and titration.
You just said the rest of your life, which it reminds me and it makes me think of, is Zepbound a lifelong drug? Because there is a part of me that wants to feel like, I told you I'm on the medication. There's a part of me that wants to feel like maybe one day this would end, and I know we've said it again and again and again, but there is still a part of me that feels like, this is my fault in some way, or that maybe if I finally get to that specific weight, that I won't have to do this anymore. So is that the truth? Is this a lifelong drug? Is this something that you will need to be on for the rest of your life?
Yeah, it's an excellent question. I would, answer it by asking a question to that.
Sure.
If it was any other chronic disease, would you be asking the same question, right? Would you be saying, if I have high blood pressure and my blood pressure is finally, controlled with this drug A, why would you go off it? Right? Because it's a chronic disease. It doesn't cure the disease. It manages it. It controls it.
Okay.
Right? So think of it, that's how I think of it. That's how I advise my patients, right? This is a chronic disease. In fact, it may even progress so that you're doing now may not even be, enough. And if that happens, then don't blame yourself. It's the disease, right?
Yeah.
So the best way to keep your disease under control is to manage it as best you can. And so I would say focus on managing the disease. Don't worry too much about how that would look like over time. Just know that this is something that you have to have a long-term commitment. This is a long-term management tool, not for short-term, changes. That's not what, I would advise my patients. I would say this is a chronic disease, therefore brace yourself to potentially use it for long term. Now, there are many exciting questions in the field, you kind of hinted at that, about what that looks like in the long run. We have trials, actually, Lilly's running, looking at, hey, can you reduce the dose after you've achieved your weight reductions? Or can you switch to pills? After you've achieved substantial weight reductions with weekly injectable, right? Zepbound is an injectable, as an example, right? There are many questions like this that I think the field is going to be
discovering.
Exactly, it's a very exciting time to try to figure these answers because our patients need it, right? To figure their individualized sort of plans long term.
Absolutely, I need you to come up with a cure. Immediately, honestly, I was glad when we got this. I was like, finally, after all these years, there's going to be something to help me out. Now, I heard you say something just here a second ago. You had mentioned pill. Is there a pill? Or is that on the horizon?
It's under investigation. It's on the horizon. We're teams working hard at it, and we'll try to figure those answers with time.
Yeah, I want to put my request in for a juice. Just like a liquid. I can just drink it really quick right after. I think that would be nice. Tell me about what is, and I don't want to butcher it. Tell me a little bit about what is tirzepatide. And how that works and how that operates.
Yeah. So tirzepatide is the name for the molecule that is the key ingredient in Zepbound. And so tirzepatide is the one and only molecule of its kind where we call it a dual receptor agonist. I know it's pretty jargony. So it means it activates two hormones in your gut called GIP and GLP-1. And these hormones have been demonstrated to help reduce appetite and in turn reduce body weight. Okay. And that's what tirzepatide does. It's a compound that helps you with those hormone activation.
Yeah, and I know we've talked a lot right here, but I just want to take a little bit of a rabbit trail with who you are and how you got into this. So I know you said that you're an endocrinologist. So can you tell me a little bit more about
Yeah.
what that is and how you got into it?
Absolutely, yeah. So I love, science and research and medicine, but I wasn't quite sure exactly what I was going to turn out to be. But I knew that there was a strong family history of diabetes. And a lot of, including my dad, and, some of them have obesity, some don't. So it's a different types of, sort of, I guess, different causes behind their diabetes. But in any case, it became an inspiration for me to focus on what I could do through my studies, and ultimately I ended up doing an internal medicine residency and then endocrinology fellowship to further sort of become a specialist focused on diabetes and later on obesity. What I realized in obesity is that, in diabetes, is that obesity is quite common in many of my patients. And so I felt like I couldn't do my job if I didn't really understand what obesity was. In fact, as an endocrinologist, you may see other disorders like, polycystic ovarian syndrome or, sort of persistent hypertension.
Sure.
And what I saw again and again is that obesity was impacting a lot of my patients. So it really became an inspiration, along with what I saw with, tool like bariatric surgery can do. When you really truly help these folks reduce, substantial amount of body weight, and what happens to their health. It sort of light bulb went off in my head, and I said, I need to really understand obesity in order to truly help my patients, because if I'm not treating the underlying cause, then I'm only treating sort of the end problems. And that, to me, to this day, is sort of what's sort of my guiding light to help people living with obesity to be able to, control their disease and to better understand the disease so that we can continue to help in the innovation.
Yeah. Well, what does it do? Can you speak to any of the success stories that people have experienced? I know you had mentioned bariatric surgery, or maybe even Zepbound. If we have any, I know it hasn't been around that long. I'm sure there's still significant amounts of stories of success. Have you experienced any success of stories in your life in terms of patients?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's I could think of a young man who was struggling with obesity and obstructive sleep apnea. And was looking at potentially getting bariatric surgery. And lots of love to my surgery colleagues, but the cases that I see, there's a fair number of folks who were kind of looking at maybe going for surgery, and now they give it a try at these medicines, and along with healthy lifestyle like diet and exercise, they're able to lose a substantial amount of weight to the point where they can really be able to get off their CPAP, or we're talking about my patients who are able to now walk up steps without getting winded. I hear these stories, and it's just such a gratifying moments, right? Again, it's not guaranteed that every single person who goes on these kinds of medicines will experience the kinds of changes I'm talking about. But certainly from my personal experience of sort of anecdotal experiences of what I heard from my patients, it's those types of things. Now that I can chase after my grandkids, better, and I can go to work and not get tired. I mean, these are so important, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
those are what really excites me when I hear about these kinds of experiences.
Yeah, and it increases the quality of your life.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now you did mention something about sleep apnea. And so does Zepbound, because when I was looking up the website and I was looking into Zepbound, it also is something that helps sleep apnea in some capacity?
Yeah, so Zepbound is approved for moderate to severe obstructive sleep apnea. So, sleep apnea in essence is basically getting your airway choked intermittently throughout your sleep, which is, as probably as bad as it sounds, right? And some of them are related to obesity. So that's where Zepbound has been approved to help patients with this type of condition.
Okay. So how have the people reacted from the sleep apnea, using it as sleep apnea, because I when I was just researching it, I hadn't heard about that, because I've only heard about it from the perspective of weight loss.
Yeah, it's really new, so you're don't feel bad. We have to quantify the impact in a way that scientists and general public can understand. How is Zepbound helping? And one of those things was AHI, apnea hypopnea index. It sounds as technical as it is. It's basically just sort of counting the number of times your airway's being choked.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Completely or incompletely. But either way, you can imagine it's not good in the long run to kind of sort of cut the supply of your oxygen throughout your sleep, right? So when we quantify those things in a clinical trial setting, it was proven to show that it significantly improved on that index.
What support would you offer to someone who is, say, scared because of taking Zepbound? Because there is a lot of, in some cases, honestly, I would probably say in a lot of cases, misinformation that surrounds the drug. So what would you say, or what advice would you give to someone who is perhaps apprehensive or nervous about taking the drug because they feel like perhaps they can't trust the drug itself?
Yeah, thanks for that question. So absolutely, there's a lot of misinformation out there. So you can really go down that rabbit hole if you don't go to the right source. So someone like you bringing that question and giving me the opportunity is just so it's so amazing. So I really appreciate it deeply. I would say talk to your provider. Go to websites from individual. Sort of manufacturer if you really want to, if you have specific questions, but really you make sure you double check on the source of your information is kind of my bottom line, to that they are coming from areas of sort of authority. I can speak to how Lilly has conducted trials is in at the highest sort of quality to ensure that we can really have the trust of the public and basically develop the science at the highest quality, because it doesn't help anybody, right, if we don't do that. So Lilly's committed to providing data that puts patient safety foremost, first of all, and then we're driven by our opportunity to help others. So I think that's something that I just want to put out there for those listeners who are interested to learn more. And I would say, again, there's no magic bullets, right? It's a chronic disease. There are multiple things at play. Most likely, in order to successfully manage a chronic disease, you're going to need multiple tools built on the foundation of diet and exercise. And then what? It could be pharmacotherapy, but again, talk to your doctors about that.
Now, you say there's no magic, but I want this to be I want this to be the magic, and I want this to be a part of the magic. But my question is, if people, if you were to stop taking the medication, so say if you stopped, will you regain the weight?
So thank you for that question. So we are starting to learn about those things through scientific data. So we now have several sort of data out there that shows, as you suggested, that with stopping the obesity medicines, most people will regain the weight. Now, what is concerning about that is that it's not just the weight coming back; it's all the related cardiovascular risk factors, we call it. So things like blood pressure, things like lipids. We feel good when they move in the right directions along with weight loss. Now you want to keep those again, moving in the right directions, ultimately, so that you can live a healthier life, right? Those risk factors are shown to basically cut short your lifespan and all of that, right? And with weight regain, those things do deteriorate. So that's what we've shown just recently in JAMA Internal Medicine. We looked at the degree, how depending on how little your weight regain or how big your weight regain might have been off 1 year of tirzepatide. The bottom line is, the worse the weight regain, the worse that reversal of cardiovascular risk factor improvement.
Yeah, well, thank you for reminding me of the cardiovascular risk factors, because all I think about is my waistline. That is the only thing that can tend to pop up in my mind. And I know that formerly I was on Wegovy, And I had told my doctor it really, it was kind of working, it was kind of not. Like I had lost some weight from it for sure. Just maybe in 10 pounds, and then it kind of just got stuck there. And then from there, I had told my doctor, I was like, I don't really know. At the time, this was like last year, I don't even, or 2 years ago, what have you. I don't even know if Zepbound was actually out and available to the public at the time. And Oprah was talking about Wegovy, and so I was all excited. I was like, yeah, I gotta do it, Oprah. My my saint, hero in journalism, what she does, and something that I've also struggled with too. And so I got on Wegovy, and I was taking it, and I just didn't feel like I was seeing the weight come off, and so I stopped it. Well, even though the weight it started to come back on once I stopped it, and then I went to my doctor. I was like, well, maybe there's something that I should do differently here. And she was like, well, let's try Zepbound, because she had said to me that it may be more effective for me. And so I know firsthand that you can gain weight when you don't continue on with the medicines or anything like that. Can you explain to me or someone about the dosage and about how they go up in any capacity?
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, Zepbound, you can start at the initial dose of 2.5 milligram. It's a once weekly injectable, and it goes by 2.5 milligram increment every 4 weeks. That's as fast you can go, but you could go slower. So, say today you start 2.5, 4 weeks later you go on to 5, and then 7.5, 10, etc. Like every 4 weeks. Or you can do it slower. There are adjustments that you can make within those dosages, per clinical judgment of your provider and yourself. But I want to go back to something you said that's really important, which is the fact that you were paying attention to your waist, and that's not. That's really, that's not vanity. That's actually part of the cardiovascular risk factors. So I love the fact that you were, kind of focused on your health, right? So, these are the cardiovascular risk factors that, we know if it's controlled, then it can be beneficial. So again, obesity, we're not talking about, this is not for cosmetic reasons, it's not for vanity. This is for the treatment of the disease. And, with the disease, we are able to, reduce those cardiovascular risk factors, including your waist circumference, like blood pressure, lipids, etc. So these are the things that the field is continuing to keep focus, because ultimately what we want to do is, again, for long-term management of the disease of obesity.
And thank you for that. What about if someone, because when I first got started on it, I was a little bit nervous because I had never injected myself with anything. And that was something that made me nervous, because I was just like, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I'm capable of it. So can you explain a little bit in some capacity how someone can use the injection, the tool itself? Because, I was used to, I'm used to a liquid, and I'm used to a pill. But there are people like me who may have never done this and may feel, when I first did it, I felt a little intimidated by it. And it also, it squirted out, and I was like, oh no, and I missed it. Or can you in any way speak to how you could inject, literally inject?
Yeah, so I'll just do a broad stroke, but the details, I think, it's best to be maybe discussed with your provider, or there are videos that you can find on Zepbound website and take a look at those as well. The best case scenario would be, even before you walk out of your provider's office, that they, show you how it's done correctly. The areas that we recommend are, in your abdomen, in your belly area, or thighs, or if you want an upper arm, you might want to ask for assistance. But in this essence, it's a once it's a sort of auto injector that you use once, right? And it is already, with the dose that you need. So all you have to do is basically clean the area and prime the pen. And when you inject, just make sure you don't, you give it enough seconds for all of it, all the medicine to be administered.
Yeah.
So I would say, again, the details, I would recommend that you talk to your provider and go check out the Zepbound resource.
Well, you got to make sure you hear the click. Because
Yes.
if you don't, it'll go flying everywhere. And you'll be like,
Right.
no, that's $15 just gone. Well, $15 perhaps with insurance in some capacity. Can you speak in any way to the affordability of the drug?
Yeah, so we understand that, without access and affordability, we cannot really help the people that we're keeping on as priority. So Lilly is committed to improving the access and cost every day, and we're working on that. For more details, again, go to Zepbound for all the actual sort of access and affordability details.
Yeah, because we know just recently, literally just yesterday, the price of the drugs have gone down. For people who
exactly,
yeah. So and I'm sure it'll get less and less as time.
Yeah, it's a daily progress. We are laser focused to continue to improve that.
Yeah. So can you speak a little bit to the Changing the Thread collection and what that is and what that means and who is Tan France?
Yeah. Well, thanks for those questions. So I've been privileged to be part of that campaign, Change the Thread campaign. It's basically part of a movement to really help the society to see and understand obesity correctly and do get away from this weight bias and stigma that is so pervasive in our society, and we really want to unthread the weight stigma and bias. And for this campaign, we were able to collaborate with Tan France, who I'm a big fan from the TV show. And, in person, he's just an amazing, kind-hearted person who, is a strong advocate for people living with obesity. So it's just been a tremendous honor to work with him through this campaign and be able to speak on behalf of the patients that graciously donated their clothing items, basically, that really encapsulates and speaks to their lived-in experience of living with obesity. So, for example, we have a patient, Hannah, who donated her puffer jacket that she was wearing like 9 months out of the 12 months a year, like a cocoon. And it basically, provided her some sort of a security, but also, you can imagine it was also a way for her to sort of want to shield her body and hide away from people's eyes. And it's such a sort of moving and deeply personal way to sort of convey the harmful effects, right, of weight bias and stigma that makes you want to hide from the disease and not really be there to sort of be you, and also not be afraid to reach out for help.
Yeah, it's really hard, and we've talked about this whole time, and I'm in real time, I'm learning to see this as a disease, not necessarily of something of willpower, of something where, I need to do this, or I need to do that. I need to get up at 5 a.m. and then I need to do 2-a-day workouts, and I need to do this and this and this and this and this. And that maybe perhaps that there is a medicine out there for me and for other people that can help us, just like there are medicines for a lot of other conditions and diseases and sicknesses that people go through. We've talked about a lot here today. Is there anything else that we need to address in regards to Zepbound or Changing the Thread?
Oh, you've been such a gracious host, and you gave me a lot of great questions. I think the take-home message for me is that obesity is a chronic disease that really deserves long-term, chronic, comprehensive management. Don't be afraid to be you, and raise your hand if you need help. You don't have to suffer alone. Because chronic diseases like obesity may not be adequately controlled with diet and exercise alone, even with your best efforts. And so, the good news is that there are tools out there. So, be sure to discuss with your provider to see, what solution may be best for you.
Yeah, I thank you. I really appreciate you. I thank you so much. I thank you. I think Rachel, you're off to the side.
This has been a great discussion. Thank you.
You know, because it has been, I need to know so much of this personally, and I know that a lot of other people need this cover unveiled, and they need to understand and need to pull back the layers on some of this and what it is and what it can do. So I really hope that this helps some people in Central Indiana. Thank you so much, Dr.
Thank you, Deja.
Lee. I really appreciate you. Guys, we'll be right back. Welcome back. We are here. We're in our fitness clothes. We're at 6227 Kaufman Road, right here at Fit Unlimited with fitness coach and fitness trainer Antoine Mack. He's going to show us a healthier way to live, a healthier journey. He's going to give us some healthy lifestyle tips, and he's going to show us some exercises as well as how he has built his body and how he continues to build, most importantly, the discipline that he has. Let's get into it.
I've been a personal trainer since 2012, so that's about, it's going on, it was 13 years in August. Before I became a trainer, I used to go to the gym every day, and I just kind of worked out pretty hard. And people would ask me every day, you know, am I a trainer? I will always say no. And then it was one time I was on a treadmill, and I just kind of looked over the gym, and everybody's working out and just like was just lost. You know, people would scratch their head, you know, because they don't know what to do, you know, so they just kind of, you know, put a light bulb in my head and like, you know, I could be helping these people. So next thing you know, I got certified as a trainer and everything just worked out. What I do here, you know, I design a plan for everybody to follow in hopes for everybody to reach their goals here. But everybody has a different plan on what their wants and their needs are when it comes to their health and their physical appearance. So it's not all about doing everything at the gym. First thing you want to do is get your diet together, right? We want to make sure that we're eating healthy. Second, it doesn't take much to get your body just to move. You can do all this stuff at home. You know, you can buy some pair of dumbbells, get you a nice mat, get you a YouTube, and there's a lot of things on YouTube. I also have an app called Fit 30. I sell programs to beginners. But there's things you can do at home just to get your body movement. There's things you can do at a park. There's things you can do around your neighborhood where there's walking, running, you know, doing things of that nature. There's fun things you can do, you know, around the city to get your body moving. The best advice for weight loss is one, that you have to get your nutrition together first, right? Get your nutrition together. That's first. Now, the second thing, and it's very important that you have to get your body to move. One's not going to work without the other, right? You can move and have a bad diet and nothing's going to go anywhere. Mm-hmm. You can have a good diet, which is great. You'll get your health together, but again, it's not going to get your body together until we start moving. So I would take both of those. Like I said, get your diet together, get your food together, get your body moving. There's plenty of programs out here. There's plenty of trainers out here. There's plenty of information that's all over the internet that can help you get in shape. It's crazy to have one particular client. I'll still thank her to this day. She was my only client for 6 months. For 6 months, I only had one client. And what happened was she never wanted to discuss that she had a trainer, and she asked me not to tell nobody either. Right? Cool. So I trained her. She ended up losing 40 pounds. And when she lost the 40 pounds, you know, people are starting to ask her, like, hey, how are you doing this, you know? And then she finally told everybody I was her trainer. And I just kind of blew up from there.
Mac blew up as a trainer and also a professional bodybuilder.
So it was a client that I had. Shout out to her. She came in here. She was already a competitor for bodybuilding. And she wasn't always doing that great, and then she wanted me to train her legs. So I put up a plan together, and her legs got, you know, real strong and real toned up, and then she had a show coming up, and I went to support, and then she ended up winning that show, right? And I'm watching the other guys that was in the show. I've never been to a bodybuilding show, so I'm looking at the guys that's in the show. I'm like, I look better than some of these guys, you know. So for the next 2 years, I was doing my research, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this one day. You know, I'm gonna do it. You know, I kept going to. At this time, I'm going to the shows by myself. I'm going to the shows by myself and just kind of doing research on different things like diet and posing and all of that. And then my very first show, I ended up coming to second place. It was a cool little experience. And even then, like the guy that beat me, you know, I'm thinking in my head like, okay, did he beat me? You know, let's go harder for the next one. I just kept going, and then I ended up turning pro in 2023. I won maybe like 4 or 5 competitions, came in first place. A lot of seconds, maybe like 1/3, 1 or 2/3, but definitely a lot of seconds, 4 or 5 first place. And then when I turned pro, got my first place. It was a wonderful feeling though. It's all, you know, it's always gonna be a feeling, a good feeling to win, you know. But at the same time, when you come, you know, if you don't get the expected, you know, thing you're trying to accomplish for, it just makes you go harder, you know what I'm saying? And the journey to that first place was all worth it. When I compete, like I put 100% into competing.
Okay.
Right? But there's times where, you know, I take my kids to the movies and they trying to play around and feed me popcorn and I'm not really supposed to eat it. Like little stuff like that, I want to enjoy that.
Yeah.
You know, right? I want to take my kids out for ice cream and actually enjoy it with them. You know, little things like that. So, going on vacations with my family and you have to put food aside for me. Like I don't like that feeling at all. So I have a nutrition coach, and whatever he says on that plan, that's what I have to follow. There's nothing outside of that. There's no more of that or less of that. I have to do exactly what he say. And if I do that, like I know I'm gonna come out looking my best. So me trying to modify different things, there's a chance where, cause you know, my nutritionist, like he knows different protocols and how to change up things for my body to change. And so if he don't say to change, you know, if I try to modify things myself, like it's just not gonna turn out, you know, it's not gonna turn out the way I want to.
Yeah. I feel like
I probably still look good,
right.
but I can take accountability that I probably didn't put 100% into it.
Do you feel like you put a lot of pressure on yourself?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Just because I know a lot of people's watching me, so a lot of people, they have these expectations of me where, you know, they expect me to. It's not that they want me to be perfect, but they expect me to be perfect. So, you know, and it's not like I'm trying to be perfect, but I am going to give I am going to give you the best I can. The hard part is doing the same exact thing every day, right? So, for example, I could tell you 3 meals, right? Let's say you eat eggs and fruit for breakfast. You have chicken and rice for lunch, and let's say you have fish and asparagus for dinner, right? Pretty basic, right? And it sounds pretty easy. Imagine doing that every day for 4 months. Nothing outside of that. Nothing outside of that.
That sounds
right?
awful.
It is. It is. You know, like I said, every other week I want to enjoy pizza with my kids, or maybe once a month I might want to stop by, the neighborhood Long's Donuts, whatever, but you can't. Now while you're trying to get ready for a show.
Mac takes his show seriously, but is also seriously funny with his more than 80,000 online followers.
Yeah, I try to have a sense of humor. I think that's what keeps us human. People think, especially when it comes to training, that I'm just this robot or some type of drill sergeant. But at the same time, as you've seen, as we just left here, we like to have fun in here. I try to be a likable guy. There's a time and place, to joke around. Then there's other times where we need to be serious and kind of lock in, right? But I try to keep a sense of humor, most of the time.
Now that we have been influenced, Mac is going to show us 3 simple movements that we can do at home right now to torch calories.
So one of the few exercises that you can do by yourself to burn calories and burn a lot of fat. First exercise I got right here is a step up. There's a few ways you can do this step up. Right here, I have a 16-inch box. And what I'll do is I'll just step up and just step down. That's the most basic way. Step up, step down. The more intermediate level what we'll do is we'll just keep our left leg on top of the box and we'll just go up and right back down, but keeping your left leg on top of the box, all right? In more expert level, what we'll do is we'll alternate our legs going from on top of the box. For example, step up with your left leg comes down, right back up. Right leg goes down, right back up, all right? You alternate these legs. We can do this exercise for about 30 seconds, maybe take a 30-second rest and kind of repeat that 3 or 4 rounds. That really build up a sweat. All right, our second exercise, I call this a mountain climber. What we'll do is we'll get down in the push-up position. We'll have one of our legs up to our chest, one leg is back, and all we're gonna do is alternating our legs, going to the chest and right back out, all right? An alternative exercise with that, what we'll do is have your hands straight out and just bringing your knees all the way up to your chest. All right, so the third exercise is called a squat thruster. What I'll do, I'll take some dumbbells, I'll put them right here on top of my shoulder. I will squat all the way down, and as I come up, I'll press it up. Now, the reason why this burns so much calories is because we're using multiple muscles at the same time. For example, when I squat, I'm using my legs. As I'm pressing the weight up, it's using my shoulders. All right, the more muscles we use at the same time, the more calories we burn. Try this exercise for about 30 seconds. Take a 30-second rest. Do about 2 or 3 rounds. You'll burn a lot of calories doing that. All right, step up with the left leg. All right, now go ahead and step up. Yep, now left leg comes down. Left leg up, nope, that's your right leg. Step up with your left. Left leg down.
Left leg down.
Right back up. Right back up.
Right back up.
Right leg down. Right back up.
Oh, okay, I got you. I got you. It took me a second.
There we go. It's perfect. Yep, that's it right there.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I got this. Now, how many times are you supposed to do this?
Now, we're going to do this for 30 seconds. All right. Yep. You can go a little faster.
No.
There we go. See, what this is doing, this is stabilizing your core and also working your legs. All right. Come on, give me 10 more seconds.
10 more seconds.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. See, they got your heart rate up a little bit?
It did.
There we go. Go ahead and get on the ground. Go be in the push-up position.
Oh.
All right, and then one leg is gonna be up just like this. And all we're gonna do is jump and switch to the other side. Yep, and keep on going. Just like that, that's perfect.
Okay.
Yep. Now what this is doing, this is giving constant engagement into your core, right? Not only that, it's gonna work our shoulders and also working our legs. Give me 10 more seconds of that. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and stop right there. There we go. Heart rate is even going up a little bit more, ain't it?
Yeah.
There we go. Now we're gonna move over to our next exercise. Let's go and pick up these 8s.
All right.
We're gonna scoot back a little bit. All right, now we're gonna spread these legs out. We'll get us a good little base right here. I want your hands on top of your shoulders. And what I want you to do is I want you to squat down as low as we can and then shoot up with your arm. There we go. Keep it going. Get lower. There we go. Yep, and come up. Yep, explode it up. Yep, faster.
Faster.
There we go. Now we're working. Yep, give me 10 more seconds. Come on. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and stop right there. There we go. How you feeling?
That was sufficient.
Yeah, there we go. And see, that was just
That's
one round.
workout.
Yeah, that was just one round.
How many rounds are you supposed to do?
So with those 3 exercises, I would give each exercise 30 seconds with a 30-second rest and include a water break. I would do that for 4 rounds. You'll have a really sufficient workout.
I'm out of breath.
So
You can do that at
we'll be
home.
working our lower body, we'll be working our core, and then we'll be working our lower and upper body with the thruster.
And you can do that at home.
You can do that at home.
Okay.
Right, that's where it all starts. In that kitchen and right at your own home.
All right, guys. I've had enough of this today. It's only been 2 minutes. Clearly, I need to spend more time in the gym. Thank you, Mac. I really appreciate you.
No problem.
Thank you so much. much for tuning in to this episode of the Deep Dive with Deja. I hope that you are truly leaving empowered on weight loss, empowered on different strategies that you can take, and that most of all, because I know one thing that I've learned about myself in this time is to give myself grace, to give myself mercy, to give myself understanding that it's more than just willpower. It's more than just hard work, but it is that too. It is also exercise. It is also diet, and it is medication. So I want to thank you all, if your doctor says so. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in on this episode of the Deep Dive with Deja. I hope to see you back here next week as we continue to empower Central Indiana. Thank you so much.